What's happening? This is the Tap In Podcast. We are live in the Tap In studio. I have a special guest. Man, how did we even come in? I don't even remember.
How do we even know each other?
Yeah. I mean, I guess through John.
The question is, do we know each other?
Yeah, that is a good question. Kari, what's your last name?
It's Bernstein-Horn.
Bernstein-Horn.
I have multiple last names.
Oh, okay.
Depends on what day you ask me and who's asking.
Okay. Hey,
Yeah.
welcome, Kari. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. I am really good. Yeah.
It's good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you too.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I met Kari through our videographer John, and you guys together have been pretty much my kind of like food place for the last month or so. You guys started is it a blog? Is it a podcast? Like a food
We're building it up. So
Okay.
for the audience to see right now, we're doing a lot of reels and sort of tapping in to restaurants here locally and sharing those by reels. But the truth is that behind the scenes, we're really a media company and we are producing shows. And it's going to be like real internet produced shows, showcasing not only just the restaurants, which we love. And, we're the Dallas Culture Club. So it's all about the culture of the city, primarily what we eat, because what brings a culture together is it's food.
Food, yeah.
Food. So, but in reality, we are really focused on the people behind the brand, if you will. So who are these chefs? Who are these beautiful humans, if you will, that are getting up every day and sweating and killing themselves in order to cook for us and to make the culture of our city a better place. And so right now you're seeing just a little bit. We wanted people to understand that we were about food, but there's a lot more to come.
Really?
We're just getting started. So we told you first. The secret's out.
Okay. Well, good.
Secret's out. Yeah.
What have you what have you learned, like, going on this restaurant kind of like tour or exploring the culture of Dallas through food? Have you learned anything about?
Well, I mean, Dallas is notorious as being a food city. Like that's what everybody says about it, and a lot of people feel that we're lacking in culture, right? That we don't have the beach and we don't have the mountains and we don't have the things that people go to other cities for. Mm-hmm. So we know we've got food. So what's been nice about it is really seeing just there's a lot more than what people bargain for. There's a ton of different styles of food. There's every culinary experience that you want to have exists in the city. But more than anything, and I think this is what brought us into food, being food first, if you will, is it's joyful. It's joyful. I mean, the world, not even we in Dallas, the world have been through such a traumatic couple of years filled with so much uncertainty, and that continues today, through COVID and now wars and now gas prices and inflation, and there's just so much heaviness in the world. And honestly, I have both sides to my personality. Like, I can be a very, very serious person and get like deep in with people. But I really, I search for joy. Like, I want to have a happy life. John wants to have a happy life. And so it's just been this like joyful process into exploring the city, but in a way that, tastes good.
Yeah. We
Right?
know what I like about you guys' dynamic on camera? It seems like John is the straight-laced one and you're kind of the wild. Let's just go taste everything. I like that about you guys on camera.
Yeah.
And
he forces me to be that way. It's
really?
not true.
Oh, okay.
No. We both have our personalities that we bring into it for sure.
Yeah. What's been your favorite restaurant out of the ones you guys done?
There's so many great restaurants. We recently had the absolute pleasure of walking into Oaked Barbecue, which we'll just say the name and just know more is to come with Oaked. And we were delighted in the experience there. We've also been to Slow Bone. So we've been doing a barbecue trek recently. That's been fantastic. But one that really sticks out to me, and it's funny because barbecue is not necessarily my favorite food. Oh, I like it, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite. There's a restaurant called Loro, which is it's a co-owned space between the chefpreneur that owns Franklin's Barbecue, as well as, why am I not thinking about the sushi place that Uchi, which by the way is fantastic. Uchi is amazing. We have that here in Dallas, and those two got together and created this fusion space. And Donte, you got to go. I mean, in fact, go tonight with your family to Loro,
Okay.
Loro. It's fantastic. I really enjoyed that. And then last night, see, I don't just eat with John, even though he's my main eating partner and my main everything with regards to food. But I had the luxury of having a date night last night, and we went to Oishi, which is a sushi spot. And I'm going to tell you, that was the best sushi experience that I've had in a really, really, really long time.
Really?
But I could go on and on. I mean, I could just go on and on about food. I've been to so many places. Those are the first on my mind. There's so many more, and we have so much more to come because it's endless. I'll walk out of here and go like, why didn't I talk about that one? So like, no offense to anybody else that we've been through, because it's been a journey, and it's been a lot of fun.
And you're from Dallas, right?
I have lived here since I was about 5.5, 6 years old. I'm from Canada, actually.
Okay.
From Toronto, and we moved here when I was very young, and so I mean, 5 or 6, I think that means I'm a native by now.
Yes.
I don't talk like a Canadian anymore, so there's that. But born in Canada.
Okay. Because I would think with the food places in Dallas, you always experience or finding out something new and different, because people pop up with different food restaurants, franchises every single day here in Dallas. The one thing that I haven't experienced yet is great barbecue from a restaurant here.
I just gave you 2.
I know I haven't experienced it yet, but that's been my one thing where I'm like, I want to get some good barbecue. And I think the reason why I haven't experienced it is because so many people cook barbecue at their house.
Yeah.
That's usually where I get my barbecue from, is somebody's always cooking in Texas. Like,
yeah.
Especially with my wife's family, like someone is always cooking, either or anybody will always cooking. Are you a cook? Do you cook?
I do.
You do? What's your favorite?
I'm this is again very much my personality. Like, I will follow recipes. Sometimes I will, but I like to just throw things together and like feel with my heart, which to me it's all about the creativity.
Yeah.
So my grandmother was a huge cook. My mother was not. But my grandmother, who's my father's mother, was this balabusta, if you will, right? Like, she's, that was her weekly duty, was to make this meal for my family every Friday night. We had Friday night dinners. And I think that you don't realize that you are picking up, but you pick up from your family what you see. She never had a recipe in her hand. She knew. It was like, she used to say, you have to feel it. You have to, I tried to write her recipes down. I say, Bubby, we call her Bubby. Bubby, can you tell me how to make this, cholent, which is beans, and we'll talk about what that is later. But she was like, she'd have to it's a pinch of this and a little bit of that. And so I wrote these recipes that were really, they were incorrect because she didn't have, so none of us have her recipes, unfortunately. But I have learned that I think this is a life lesson, and I'm old, so this has something to do with my age, but the more that you place your heart into something, and that for sure goes with cooking, it's very rare that something turns out bad. It's when you second guess yourself and you worry and you're scared and you don't think you're going to do, it's that usually screws it up. So my husband thinks I'm funny because when I'm seasoning, I'm watching it and I'm and I feel it and I'm So he now says, all right, season, you know, everything is seasoned. So I have become the griller, the cook. And so, yeah, I enjoy it. I'm a very decent, good cook. I'm not afraid of it. Everything I make is usually decent. I'm not a chef.
Okay.
Like, I don't know how to cut things properly or chop or, you know, like
yeah.
I could use some chopping lessons and things like that, but I can throw things together.
Man, what you said was just so spot on, because I look back at certain things or certain points in my life where I was hesitant or wasn't 100% sure about something, and it had nothing to do with what was in front of me. It was just all in my head, and I just look back like, why was I so afraid of that? Why didn't I attack that like I knew I could? And that goes with everything across the board. If you attack it with love and you got your heart into it, it doesn't end bad.
It's really, well, that I totally agree. And it's really funny. That is the good thing that comes with age. There's a lot of good things that come with aging. And I think one of the best things that does is that you go through all the bullshit that you have to go through in order to weed out some of that stuff. Does it still come up? You know, do you still have times where you doubt and, you know, you fear? Sure. But I'm at the stage now where I'm like, I don't got time for that anymore. Yeah. Like, if it comes up, I'm literally like, I don't have time for you anymore. Like, yes. I'm, you know, I got things to do here. And so, but you have to get, you know, now even like when I'm training my daughter, if you will, like I training because I'm like sort of hoping that she'll grasp these things sooner than I do, knowing full well that she has to go through her own life experiences and then I cannot teach them to her, but hoping that maybe she'll catch on just a little bit sooner. I sent her the other day, and Reese Witherspoon actually put this on her Instagram, where she said the best piece of advice that she had was that other people's opinions of you are none of your business. It's none of your business. And I think so much of what you're saying, that doubt, well, what is it really about? It's what are they going to think? What rights do I have? Who makes me think I can do this? You know, when John and I started this video stuff, it was like, this is so, I mean, I'm a real estate girl. Right? I've been in real estate for 25 years, you know, and there's something to be said in that ego-based world of this is who I am, this is what I do. When we started this video thing, for years I was like, what do I think I'm doing? Why would I want to be on video? And now I say, you know what? I'm supposed to do this. Don't know why. Whoever's up there put this upon me. I don't got time to think about that anymore. But I'm telling you, it's hard.
It is super hard.
It's really hard.
But I used to tell John when I first started seeing you guys' content, I was like, was she ever a newscaster or was she ever on TV before? Like, no. You seem like very comfortable in front of the camera, very natural. Like, it doesn't seem like you're scared at all.
I am. I'm less scared than I used to be. I think, you know, one thing that and maybe this is part of the ego too, right? Like, you sort of start to look at who you are as an individual and how you want to be portrayed, right? And I think what's most important to me, I know what's most important to me is relationships and how I connect with other people and how I leave that room. Like, I always want in my relationships, no matter who I'm meeting or what for, to leave that person with a smile, with feeling a little bit better about their day. I don't know why that was bestowed upon me. I think my grandmother was like that, and I think I have a lot of that quality. I'm the oldest grandchild, so I've already told you she affected me in these ways. She was like this beautiful, wonderful person. And for me, I do think about that. So I guess no matter who I'm talking to, even if I'm in front of the camera, like, I'm always hoping to come across real, show you exactly who I am, which could be scary sometimes, you know, and funky and weird. But also I hope it to be, you know, something that lifts people up a little bit. And so I'm conscious about that. And that probably is why I look like I'm not nervous, even though I'm totally nervous.
Scared to death.
Scared to death. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's funny because the only reason that I ever thought to start video was because my husband like challenged me to it. He said, "You're supposed to do video." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "I'm just telling you, you need to be on video." This is for real estate, by the way. At the time, it was to carry upon my career and kind of push it out there. And I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." Before I knew it, he set up like a little spot camera in our office, and he set me up like this little studio, and he's like, "I want you to practice." And I still don't know. I don't think he knows why he said that to me, but I was like, "All right, challenge taken." I knew John, thank God. So we started, but I'll say this too, and I really have to give credit where credit is due. My creative partner, John Lambert, who is behind the scenes, but really deserves to be in front of the scenes more than he is truly my creative partner in life. Like I believe we were put into each other's lives to create together. It's not an independent thing. Like together, we're better. I hope you'll say the same thing. And so I feel really comfortable with him. Like John knows me, good, bad, ugly. I've cried to him so many times. I've screamed at him. I mean, he knows me. And so when you're with somebody that you feel like is not judgmental of you and that, loves you either way and vice versa, there's a lot of love between us and we have a lot that we want to conquer in this world together. That has been huge too. So having him, I don't know if I'd feel as comfortable if it was just some camera guy that like I didn't know. Like it's him, he helps.
Yes.
Right?
So
you sharing that?
John has been a lifesaver for me. Like,
he's the best.
Man.
He's the best.
He knows every camera back and forth. If he doesn't, he's like, let me do some research on that. And he'll go back and he'll research it. Donte, we could do this, we could do that. I'll show you how to do this. I'm like, man, like, it's so vital in this content thing to have somebody who is knowledgeable so you can focus on the actual in front of the camera stuff.
Absolutely.
Because I've had some when I was in California and I was pursuing comedy, I was trying to do camera work, figure out that, and be on camera. And and
you had to be funny.
Yes, it was a pain. It was like a pain. So. Man, shout out to all the camera people out there that are behind the scenes.
Shout out to all the behind the scenes people that nobody could do anything without, that love what they do. And that experience of being around creatives for me has been, oh my God, like talk about a life shift. I mean, and no offense to any other career I've been in. I mean, at all. I love all the people that, along the way, but creatives don't do things for anything other than for the creative process.
Yes.
Right? So there's something about being around people that are just inspired and just do it for the love of giving, really, and creating something from nothing. And I'll tell you, there's no people I'd rather be around.
Man.
Right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's why I love talking to musicians, because
you do love that music
I
thing.
do.
Yeah.
I do. I can't make a beat or sing a song or come up creatively at all musically, but I just love the creative process on how they put it together. Like that's why I think I love comedy like that. Being able to come up with a joke and then be able to expand it into this whole story. Like, I love that. I love that creative side of figuring out something, going in the room with absolutely nothing and then coming out with something tangible that you can either tell somebody, you can let other people hear, let other people see. Like,
right.
That is just...
And that's really, John and I talk a lot about like legacy and like what you leave behind. Mm-hmm. I think, I don't want to speak for, everybody in the world. I'm only going to speak for myself. I grew up at a time like, I was a kid in the 80s and 90s, right? And, women by that point were going to college. I mean, we were all going to go to college. Not all, but, we were college bound. But now there was all this pressure upon us, which is like, okay, go out and do it all. And I remember saying to my dad, I'm not going to be like Mom. I'm going to do this and do that, and careful what you wish for, because you end up with 5 kids, 2 businesses, then 3 businesses, and losing your head. Yeah. And the problem with all that is, it's great. I mean, I don't take anything from my experiences and being entrepreneurial and all these things, but the problem is that it's all very serious and all very much about reaching goals that, by the way, you don't even know why you said. Well, you said it, so I'm supposed to set it. Well, if you can do it, I'm supposed to be able to. It's all based on crap. It's not really based on who you are internally, right? Mm-hmm. So I think in my case, like, and again, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I do think I'm not alone. I turned off creativity completely. Like, it was not a factor in my life. Like, really? I did not. In fact, I remember somebody that I love and I worked with for years. Her name is Pat Reiser. She's one of the guides of my life. And she said to me one time, Kari, you're a creative person. You're supposed to be creating. And I looked at her, I said, what are you talking about? I'm not creative. She said, Kari, what do you mean? Like, you are. You design all these houses, because at the time I was doing a lot of design work and whatever. And I was like, yeah, that's just, fluff. So really, I had completely shut that off to the point where it didn't even, there wasn't even room for it. It was like, it wasn't even a thought. Mm-hmm. How sad is that?
Super sad.
Right?
Yeah.
And so now when I raise my kids, I say to them, experience, explore, create. I think that, so much of us have been chasing whatever we thought we were supposed to chase, and shutting off the importance of that. And it's sad, but no longer should we do that. I mean, it's the creatives, the people that we were just talking about, that change the world. When you walk into a restaurant, it's not just about the food. Mm-hmm. You feel different from the ambiance. The minute you walk in, the energy, the people that are there, who's there, then it's the server and the service and, what they think of. And everybody is invested in the creative process. It isn't just the chef behind the kitchen, mm-hmm. Especially at a very good, we're talking at the nice good establishments, right? Yeah. The people that are coming from that. So to me, I think it's just one of those things that we need more of. And so I hope to spend the rest of my life creating now. And I totally agree with you. Like, it's all the people behind the scenes, but they are not behind the scenes.
Right. They're part of the process. Yeah, they're 100% part of the process.
Absolutely.
I want to know, how do you turn off your creativity? Like, how did you just start getting so wrapped up in your day-to-day and, okay, I have to be here at 8, I have to be there, this appointment, I have to do this. And so it was more of that.
I think for me, I just kept packing on responsibility. I'm a pretty capable person. Like, I can handle a lot. I maybe prided myself in that, right? Like, maybe that was some of the ego as well, that like, I can handle this and that and whatever. And so the more life that happened, the more I shut down to that. So I know there were times in my career where I brought creativity in, but it was always to market to get more business. There's a difference between creating for the sake of creating and then finding your joy and going along the line for the sake of doing, versus, well, I want to be the top realtor in the city, or and then it's creative, but it's to get to this
something,
this goal that wasn't really important to me to begin with, right? Yeah. So I think that again, I added a lot of responsibility. I was married and had 2 kids and was running a business, and that marriage ended in divorce, and it was a horrible divorce. It was really, really tough, and I went through a lot with my kids, and then my ex-husband passed away, and I went through that with my kids, and that was a year of tremendous grief and guilt and everything that can come with it. And then I remarried, and I remarried somebody that had 3 children, and now I had 5 children, and he came with baggage and ex-spouses and things that happened there. And then I added more to my business plate. And so I was just constantly just juggling and doing it, and cooking, by the way, and cleaning. And because I told you I could, the bacon and the whole, what's the saying? How's it going? I could flip the bacon while holding your kid or whatever it is. It's like, that was, I think from ego, that's what I wanted to prove. But you do that and you only have so much energy, and your energy depletes, and you only have so much time, and your time depletes, and before you know it, everything is, like you said, scheduled, about everybody else, making sure everybody's okay. And with kids, there's always, they're not always okay, so then that's the focus. Your wife, and she needs attention, so I think it's easy to do. I don't think it's very difficult to do. I just think it's a good thing when you catch yourself at some point. I still have hopefully some years left to create, and hopefully the rest of it will be about that, and that first, and then everything else can follow.
Yeah.
So,
and I think you probably will be a better creator now because you've lived so much life and you've seen a lot, so you can probably pull from a bunch of different things that you may have just seen in passing, or ideas that would just come to you, something that you may not even paid attention to in your travels and your living. And so you're actually probably going to be you're going to be a better creator because you have so much more to pull from as far as life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I love it. I love being around creators. I just love their energy first, and then I like to get into, like, it's this guy that I follow on Instagram. His name is Donte Johnson.
It's something in the name. Huh?
Yeah. But he just, I don't know how he even thought of this, but he had a whole bunch of different objects, from a bike to a crate to a kid's teddy bear, all these different things, and somehow he hung it on the wall all together and made it like a little painting. I don't know if it was a painting or it wasn't a painting, but it was like some kind of abstract art. And it was just on the wall, and he painted the whole thing, from the teddy bear to the bike to everything. And I was just like, what made him even think about even doing this? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, how did you even come up to even doing that and painting it and making it look artistic like this? And I was just like, he has all kind of weird different things and toys and big bikes. I'm like, that bike has got to be heavy. How is it hanging on the wall and staying there? I'm like, that is super creative. I love things like that.
Yeah.
I wonder why. I probably, as a kid, I probably wasn't interested in going to like museums and things like that. But I know my wife, she takes our kids to museums all the time, and I don't know if that's part of pulling from your creativity or adding to your creativity, but I don't think I did that a lot as a kid. You know what I mean? I wish I would have did more of that. But to me as a kid, that was so boring, and I just wasn't interested in going to walk around and just see art. But now as an adult, I would love that. I would love to go to visit different museums, and there's an African American museum. I think it's downtown Dallas that I've been to, and it's like a 2-story museum down there. It was
amazing.
Super nice. Yeah, super nice.
Dallas actually has like the largest arts district in the United States, something
Really?
like that. Nobody talks about it, but our art is enormous. And again, it's just one of those things. I think maybe there's just like a subculture that is very into that, and then maybe the rest of us aren't as into it. But it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive down there, the art district.
Yeah. I'm gonna go down there. I want to go and just walk around and see.
But it's interesting you were just talking about like your wife and inspiring your kids that way. And I think everything you said, the word that just kept coming to me is inspiration, inspired. Donte is inspired, and he just, for whatever reason, it doesn't make any sense. He's probably out of his own mind, and he came from inspired vision, right? But at least as kids, we rode our bikes, we went outside, right? For me, I was always dancing. I thought for sure I was going to be a solid gold dancer. Like, I was sure of it,
Really?
Put on plays and dancing and singing, and our kids do not have the same experience, I will say, for the most part, with video games. Not that, I mean, I'm sure there's positive stuff in video games. There's positive in everything. I don't want to say it's all negative, but with technology and video games and social media and all these distractions, they really don't have a chance at that. So that scares me and makes me afraid for our children. So I think it's amazing that she's doing that so that they have that outlet at least. In the parks and all of that stuff. Yes.
Yeah. Shout out to my wife, man.
She's I told you earlier. I'll say to her, you won the lotto. She's got it. She's got it all. Yeah. And then some.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
She does.
She's great.
So I want to talk to you about something more topical. This Will Smith thing.
Oh, jeez.
What is your take on this whole Oscar debacle?
I probably have a different opinion than most, but my opinion is that it wasn't the right thing to do. But we all do things that are not the right thing to do at certain times. And for whatever reason, for whatever was going on, something happened that we don't know about. Something was triggering him to begin with. It didn't just come out of nowhere. Like, I have enough empathy to know that there's depth in that. You don't just this is a guy that everybody's known for years. Everybody's, said he's a god. Everything he does turns to gold. He's unbelievable. He's the best. He's the best. He's the best. And the first time that he doesn't show restraint. He didn't act appropriately. I'm not condoning it, but I think it is so true of America and the way that we do. We love to rise them up and then we love to watch them fall and push them. And I think he made a mistake, and I think we need to get over it, because it could have just as well been me or you or anybody else in that scenario screwing up. And that's kind of what I think. I also don't know if I believe it's real, but that's a whole other story. But
yeah, I'm
not sure about it.
When because I didn't see it in real time, I went on social media and seen it. I was like, this is staged. This is all.
It appeared staged, right?
Yeah, this is staged. But Chris Rock's reaction is what made me was like,
yeah,
okay, well, maybe this ain't staged like I thought it was. But my thing is, because me and my wife, we talked about it a little bit. We talked about it a little bit. And my thing is, I believe, because Will normally has restraint. Will is normally so polished and, he's a fun-loving guy. I think something between Jada and him was said that really touched him to the core, where he was like, you know what, I'm gonna show you. Because I've even done that in past relationships, when a woman says something to me that kind of struck me, and then I reacted to show you, like, I could do that,
right?
But that's just not who I am. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think but everybody doesn't want to point the blame at Jada and say Jada caused that. But I'm like, for a man, the only two things that would actually get me out of character, right? If you mess with my family,
yeah,
or if you try to disrespect my manhood, my pride, whatever. Those are the two things that can get me out of character. And I don't think neither one of those things happened that night at the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
But I think she did say something to have him have that reaction.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we all know by now that relationship is its own world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It is not a traditional relationship.
Mm-hmm.
If it works for them, good for them. I don't know how it works for them, but that's okay. I mean, they basically, it seems to me that they've committed to be life partners, but they can, like, do what they want to sometimes. And that's, to each their own. I think that's great. If they want to stay together for the betterment of being partners and that works for them, that's terrific. But I can't imagine there's not pain in that. Like, no matter who you are, if you know that your wife has had an affair, if you know there's, now she's got alopecia. I mean, there's things that are constantly happening. There's I think there's layers of pain there. It's not an easy relationship. It can't be, in my opinion. I'm not living it. No relationship's easy. So I know just from being married twice how difficult marriage is. It's a hard run. And then you throw in all this other crap that they have.
And have it in public.
It
is like,
yeah.
Man.
I mean, it wasn't that long ago that whoever she had the affair with, I forgot his name, came out
August Alsina.
Yeah. So, whether or not they admit to it, there's got to be some pain underneath it. But I will say this, because you talked about Chris Rock, he handled it like a champ.
Yes,
so to give him some kudos, like to take everything out, and I know it's probably been very good for his career, and he did good. But I mean, he actually handled it with grace, and I think he did a fine job at getting that slap, and
And I was thinking about this too. Both of them were like triggered in different ways, right? Will Smith, I think he was tired at some point of being the punching bag or feeling like people can take jabs at him. And then on the other end with Chris Rock, from my knowledge of what he's talked about, is like he's always been beat up, he's always been jumped or robbed or picked on or some kind of way as a child, as a child, and then a little bit into his adulthood, and so him being slapped in public was like a big trigger for something that he's been dealing with from a kid.
That is a brilliant, like, what an amazing
I'm just
thought.
like,
you're right, and he handled it like a champ.
Man.
Yeah, I didn't even think, because I've watched the show, and I know what you're saying about the background there. Right? And it's so funny. Like, we expect these actors, these actresses, these comedians, all these people that are public to just not be human.
Right.
But what you just said just humanized Chris so much. You're right. I hadn't thought of it from that perspective. But an extra kudos to him for handling it the way that he did, because he just let that, like...
Yes.
He just let it ride.
Professional. I don't think... Because I know with me... I think with everybody, at certain points in their life, we either, I'm reading this book by Chris Voss. He said you either fight, flight, or you make friends. Those are the three stages where people deal with fear or anything like that. I think people make decisions, say, you know what, this is never going to happen to me again, or I'm not going to let this happen again. And so they put up walls, and I feel like that's how people put up walls and put up boundaries, so those things that they didn't like doesn't happen again. And for Chris to handle it like that, super kudos to him, because to live in fear like that of being jumped or being punched or being robbed, I would think the logical thing is, you know what, this is never going to happen to me again. I don't care where I'm at or what's going on. And then especially on camera.
With one of the biggest stars.
I was like...
I wonder about this now that you're saying this, because what keeps coming into my mind is you're a comedian and so is there a different way that you guys train yourselves to handle things like that? Are you more able to make it funny, right? Like, push it, because that is geared on what you are. So is that part of this with him,
So I think some things, if they're too close to you, like really affecting your soul, I don't think you can make fun of it right away. But I think as you get further and further away from the incident, you can start picking it apart and trying to, figure out the funny parts of it. But
it wasn't the comedian in him.
No, because usually a comedian is lighthearted and fun, and then when you have to
and then you get slapped on camera, and you're like, "How do I make that funny?"
Yeah, you have to turn on another switch. It's like, man,
yeah, yeah.
Kudos to Chris, man.
Kudos to Chris. No, I totally agree, and I don't want to take anything from him just because it's not to say again that I'm telling you that I don't think Will should not have done it. He should not have done it. We all know this. I just think we as humans need to learn to be a little bit more empathetic and realize that somebody is in pain when they're doing that. You don't just, the guy's not an asshole. We know who he is, right?
Right.
Or we know his public persona is what we really know. His public persona does not usually display those types of aggression. It was very out of character. So to me, as a human, I know that the only reason you're going to act like that is because there's something painful in your life happening. Again, doesn't condone it, but let's not, ex-nay him from Hollywood for the rest of our lives now just because he made a mistake. That's kind of all I'm saying. And as long as Chris is willing to forgive, I think the rest of us should at some point be willing to forgive and get over it already, you know?
Yeah. I would love to see them two talk about it.
I bet it'll happen. Maybe Oprah will have them on.
You think Oprah will get that interview? You think
she can get whatever she wants?
Yes, she will. I would love to see both perspectives and what happened that night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would love to see that.
Yeah.
And then we can move on.
I think that's make it happen.
Yeah. You guys are welcome
make it happen.
to come on the show.
Tap in. For real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Will's probably went to Dubai to kind of silence everything or out of the country somewhere so he doesn't have to hear it as much.
You know what though? I was just thinking about what you're right. I mean, it's true. But isn't that like a testament to like not getting too comfortable in the way that you're perceived and understanding that like at any point, like we're all vulnerable to anything. So, you can be the it guy for what? How long has it been? 30 years since he was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and rapping for us. So all this time, it's just like, not that everything he's done has been amazing, like as far as, off the charts in his acting career, but it's been pretty solid. And, it's like
one incident.
I think it's interesting as humans because we were sort of talking about that before. It's like you can like be on this trajectory and then
Do you
shift.
think it's because of the way of, I guess, the new society rules are with social media where people can just get canceled?
Yeah. No, I think that we are like, I think we're aggressive as a culture in, I recognize this with Britney Spears, like years ago as a kid when it was happening. I wasn't a kid, but I was younger. And when she went through her debacle and shaved her head and was starting to go into the funk that has now become much of her life, I mean, I felt like back then the judgments, this is when people were not, now of course it's pro-Britney and all of that, but that wasn't existing. It's like everybody was watching her, judging her. It's how, like, I often think, I always used to say, I'll take the money, but I don't want the fame, right? Fame comes with a lot. I mean, you're signing yourself to whoever you're signing yourself to, and I think it can be really slippery and dangerous, right? So, but I'll tell you what I this is my new frame of study, and so, like, I'll say it the best way that I can. I think things happen to you, like what just happened to Will Smith, when you are out of alignment to who you are internally. So when you are not being true to yourself for whatever, we don't know what it is, but internally, when you are not following what it is that you're supposed to do, maybe this relationship that they signed up for, I'm just throwing this out there. It's just my, don't be thinking I'm judging. I'm just saying, maybe it's not as easy for him as he puts on, maybe he signed up to be partners with her forever, but it sucks. We don't know. And or who knows what's going on, right? Like we don't have any idea about his life. So I do think that when we're out of alignment and when we sign up for things that pull us away from how we feel truest and happiest inside, we screw up. We make mistakes.
I heard him say a while back that he said what you guys are witnessing right now is unconditional love. He said you guys are witnessing a project or something. It was some word that he said. You guys are witnessing unconditional love, that no matter what, I'm going to love this person unconditionally.
It sounds really good on paper.
Yes. These love needs have some conditions.
You know, and when you're the one having an affair and you get everything that you need, it's one thing. And when the other person is, it feels different. You know, I mean, I'm just saying, I just watched a show. I can't think of the name. It'll come to me in a minute. But it's on Netflix right now. It's super interesting. You should watch it. It's like a British show or something like that. It's like a series. And it's about this couple who decide together that they don't want to get divorced. They want to stay married, but they want to date other people. It's a really interesting show. I'll look up the name so the audience can watch it if they haven't, because it's really interesting. And so it starts out light. Like, it starts out like, you know, they drive there together, and he drops her off at, you know, this restaurant so she can go on her date, and he goes whatever, and he picks her up. And it starts like, it's not rational at all. But as the and I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but as the relationships go on, the complications begin to evolve. Never mind the judgments and the things. And so I think a lot of us think that we can do things, and at the time we can. But when you sign up for a lifetime of anything, you got to be ready for things that you, like when you signed up for kids, did you know what it was going to be like?
I did not. I had no idea.
and you're just starting, right?
Yes.
You know,
I had no idea.
We don't know. I think it's very easy to say, not easy. I think it's hard to make a commitment like that. I think you think it through, but you also don't know what's ahead of you. And it's hard to commit to the future and what you don't know.
Yes. I think that's the scary and the fun part about life. You don't know
anything.
You don't know where it's going to take you. You're on this roller coaster, and all of a sudden it could have a drop. Yeah. And then you go back up. Like, it's
terrifying, isn't it? If you think about it.
It depends on the person.
Yeah. You can't.
If you like that what is it? Spontaneity of life, I guess, then it's fun. But if you don't, you're kind of like you want to know everything, then it's probably terrifying.
Yeah. It's no wonder that mental health and the crisis of mental health exists. It's just really no wonder, because there's so many things. You could get so stuck in well, what if this happens, and what if that happens, and what if I go here, and you know, what are people saying about me on social media, or why doesn't anybody like me on there's so many external factors constantly on us that you know, you almost have to be tunnel vision and go, we're not looking at you. You know.
See, I don't understand. Here's the thing. I understand to a degree the mental health side, but for me, I guess maybe I haven't experienced where a bunch of people don't like me all at one time, or I haven't experienced it. So I really don't understand, but I understand when people can get in the funk. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I don't understand like the whole social media.
Perpetuating an entire. Yeah.
I don't get that. Because for me, it's like these people are on social media. If I cut my phone off, then I don't deal with that anymore. And then it's about, how do I feel about me? How do I feel about myself? Do I feel like, can I look myself in the mirror and say, you know what? You're doing a good job. You're good. You know what I mean? Can I do that myself versus having all these outside opinions? And people's opinions, it's like they come a dime a dozen. Like, people will give you opinions when you don't even ask for them. So why are we taking so much? Why are we giving them so much power in people's opinions?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think that a little bit of it is luck in your nature, right? And in your chemical makeup, right? Because I think some people's chemical makeups just are what they are, and they have to they battle, right? And they have more to battle with than others. But I think, you know, Oprah has a saying, and I think I've said this to you before, in fact, but it's like, to me, it's like the words that I live by, which is that everybody wants to be seen, heard, and know that they matter, right? And be validated. And she's interviewed all these people. That's the conclusion she's come to, that we all just want to matter. We want to matter. And unfortunately, I think as humans, most of us are set up to get our validation externally. So if you have a wonderful mother, and I know you do, and a wonderful wife, and I know you do, and a wonderful family, and I know you do, that can help validate you somehow on a regular, they can also tear you down.
Yes.
But they validate you. You know, you've got that love. You've got things in your life that I guess uplift you to begin with, and things to live for, right? And to be an example for. And so there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of those things that fall in there. I think even like with my daughter, like that's a great example where she has everything to be super positive about all the time, in essence. I mean, she's had loss in her life. I told you about her dad. Like, it's not to say that she's had perfect life, but she's whatever. And we talk about this stuff all the time because I am always watching, because I think these kids are super vulnerable to exactly what we were talking about. They're raised different than us. You know, it's instant gratification. It's why don't I have plans tonight? It's why didn't I get invited here? They see it. They know everybody's going out without them. And so I'm constantly trying to, I guess, train her to love her. But she has me to lean on. Not to say that I'm some perfect mother, because I'm not, but I try really, really, really hard to do like a great job with my kids. Like, they know. And I suck sometimes, and that's okay. But she's got me, she's got my parents, she's got all these people that, you know, give her this unconditional love, and still we got to work on it a little bit. So it's just, I don't know. I think as humans, well, I've heard this, that most of us we're trained to look for the negative. Yes. It's in our makeup. Like, we are geared that way. So it's really a different theory to look and seek what I think, again, back to what John and I are really trying to create, is just create joy. And that's a big part of what brought me to that, is because we're seeing so much severity and seriousness and, you know, mental health, and I don't feel good enough. And we just thought, let's create some joy, and let's create a community, and let's connect them, because people feel disconnected. But it's challenging. It's not, I think we're all made differently. So be grateful that you have a really beautiful brain that's allowing you to love yourself, you know? And I'm grateful for the same thing. I do. I've worked really hard on my relationship with myself and continue to. But
yeah, I think when I was a kid and we were all outside, and, you know, especially where I come from, it was about, you know, who's the cool people, who's the, you know what I mean? Yeah. I think then I probably, you know, wanted that outside validation, but then just through experience, where I figured out, like, when I do my own thing, like, it always comes through. It's always good. I'm like, everybody's always like applauding it. But when I try to follow the crowd or look at the crowd when I'm doing something to just get that validation like a kid, it never pans out the way I wanted to. I'm not always super proud of whatever I'm doing, because I'm looking to the crowd for the validation. But I think when everybody walks their own path and doesn't look for validation for other people, you're way better off. Yeah. Man.
I think it's like the validation that you're looking for ultimately has to come from yourself. But you really have to get to that point where you love yourself enough, and it really is work, where you love yourself enough, and you really have to care about yourself as almost like as an external being, right? Like, yes, you're in your own, you're seeing out of your eyes, and you're in your own brain and all that. So it seems ridiculous, but you almost have to think of yourself as another person sometimes, and really, you know, again, seek to make your own, but again, you got to be in sync with yourself. You got to know, you know, a little bit of what you want, or allow yourself some grace to explore. So there's, I don't know. Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah, it is.
This life, it's hard.
It is.
Right?
It is. It can be, yes.
It can be.
Yes. So about Dallas culture, what days do you guys put up the videos? How can people, like, if you have some people that are restaurant owners or chefs and they want you to come and check out their restaurant and their food, how do they get a hold of you guys? So that was two-part question.
It was two good parts.
Yeah.
Okay, so for right now, and this is going to change, so there's a lot more to come from the Dallas Culture Club. We are just in our infancy stages. We've got an Instagram page that's very, very active, Dallas Culture Club, and just check out our reels. We're posting reels every Friday. The last restaurant that we went to, John and I, we call it Frunch. You can come Frunch. You can come Frunch with us.
I like
Friends
that.
Who lunch. You come
like
Frunch
that.
with us.
I like that.
So I think at some point we're going to open the doors to having people experience with us, and we're leading up to that fact. We'll have events coming up and all kinds of things. But if you're a restaurant that you want to reach out to us, go on our Instagram page, and there's a Linktree link in the bio. What is it? Link in the bio.
Yeah.
And reach out to us. And, we're looking for chef-driven restaurants. We're not necessarily opposed to chains. If it's a Texas-based chain, we just did one this week, which is a Texas-based chain. We loved their story. They have 27 locations. Hat Creek Burger Company we went to. And but it's Texas-based, and it's this very family-oriented, so it has this beautiful story behind it. So we're looking for that, and reach out, and there's so much more to come. We are producing the most beautiful video shows, if you will, that we're really proud of, and they're going to be about 10, 12-minute shows that are really highlighting restaurants and their chefs, and it's going to be very, very high-level content, so that's coming up as well. So beyond just the short reels that you get to see from us, you're going to see a lot more long-form content is what they call it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're long-form content creators is really at the essence of what we're doing. And we're going to create the club. So, we call it the Dallas Culture Club. So be looking out for ways that you can connect with us, because there's going to be all kinds of events and things that are we're just about to get started. So it's perfect time to follow us on Instagram.
Okay, good. And I know you guys, I took 2 recommendations from you guys, and they both were great recommendations, food recommendations. Wolf Burgers and the Garden Cafe that I've been to were great.
Yeah, the Garden Cafe is great, and Wolf Burger is great. Yeah, John and I know how to eat.
Yeah.
We're true Dallas foodies, It's like, where are your Dallas foodies at? We're right here.
Yeah.
We know how to eat. I was raised with a lot of food, and John too, so we're just having a ball, just eating our way through this town.
Good.
And we're not stopping.
Yeah.
You can't stop us.
So Dallas Culture Club on Instagram. Okay. So make sure y'all tap in with them. Dallas Culture Club. What's this?
Okay, sorry. We didn't have this before, but John and I really thought that you'd look better. We should have put this on you from the beginning.
Okay.
Sporting some gear.
Yes, let me see.
Yeah.
My head is a little big,
but you're cute with it. That's good.
Thank you guys, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, I like this. So, man, Dallas Culture Club on Instagram. Follow their page. Make sure you tap in, like the videos. If you see a recommendation on there for the food and you go to the restaurant, make sure you let them know Dallas Culture Club sent you to their restaurant. All right.
Yeah.
You have anything else you want to leave the people, Kari?
I don't think so. Again, just watch out for us. We're just there's a lot of surprises coming, and I appreciate you. I'm so glad to see you. And you know how I feel about you.
Yeah.
So thanks for having me.
Absolutely, most definitely. Yo, man, thank y'all for tapping in. This has been the Tap In Podcast. Holla.